Okay, so in this lecture, we are going to cover the effect of Jupiter's paryay on the native. Okay, so before we jump into the various effects of Jupiter's various paryay, let us understand the meaning of paryay. Okay, so paryay means paryay basically means the rounds that a planet takes around the zodiac. So let's say uh, Jupiter in the native's chart is in Aries. So it will take Jupiter 1 year to cross to the next sign, another year to cross to the next sign, and that way to cover the whole zodiac, it has to take around 12 years, and that 12 year will will basically conclude the first paryay of Jupiter. Okay, so the first paryay of Jupiter is from 1 to 12 years. And when Jupiter again enters Aries after 12 years, it begins the second paryay. Okay, so like that from 13th to 24 years. This is going to be the second paryay. So when Jupiter goes around the zodiac once again and enters the Aries for the third time, then it continues the third paryay. And like that, the fourth paryay, the fifth paryay, sixth paryay, like that. Okay, and each cycle of Jupiter around the zodiac has different effect on the native, and that effect we are going to study in this lecture. So let us take the first paryay of Jupiter. When okay, let's take the first paryay of Jupiter. First paryay, or we can call it cycle. First cycle of Jupiter. So during the first cycle, uh, there is only one effect which has been mentioned, and that is when the Jupiter is in the initial part of Taurus. Okay, so as we all know, this is Taurus. So in the beginning part of Taurus, when Jupiter is in the first cycle, that time it will bring in a lot of wealth. So that's the effect which has been mentioned, that when it enters Taurus beginning, in the first cycle, it brings in a lot of wealth to the native. Okay, so let us understand with some example. Let's say the ascendant is Libra and Jupiter was in, let's say, Leo. Okay, here. So the first paryay will begin from Leo, then to Virgo, then to Libra, and like that it will go round, round, round. And when it comes to Taurus, that time you can safely predict that during the initial part of transit in Taurus, the native is going to earn a lot of wealth. Okay, because it is still the first paryay. Now suppose that the Jupiter was not here. Okay, let's suppose Jupiter was right here itself. Okay, in Aries. So the first paryay will be just after his birth. Okay, because uh, in the next year itself, Jupiter is going to move to Taurus. So in the initial part of Taurus, he is going to get a lot of wealth. So you can safely predict that just after the birth, the native would have got a lot of wealth, or the native's family would have got a lot of wealth. Okay. Now take the second paryay. So in the second cycle of Jupiter, when it moves to the first part of Taurus, which is the, you can say, the first half of Taurus, then it brings in a lot of growth, lot of happiness to the native siblings, or mainly to the siblings brother. Okay, so second cycle, Taurus, growth to brother. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's say ascendant is Libra, and the Jupiter is in Capricorn. So the first cycle will be from Capricorn to when it goes around the zodiac and comes back to Sagittarius. Then the second cycle begins, and in the second cycle, the Jupiter when it goes to the Taurus part. Okay, so precisely after 12 years, then 15, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. In the 17th year, of age, you can safely predict that the person's brother would have got a lot of growth, lot of happiness, lot of wealth. In fact, in the second paryay, in the second cycle, the whole Aries as well as Taurus, this whole transit is going to be good for native. Okay, so when in the second cycle, when the Jupiter moves from here to here for this entire 60 degree, the entire 60 degree, the native will have lot of happiness. His father will be well recognized by the government. Okay, his father will be successful, and it will bring in a lot of wealth and happiness to the family. Okay, so these things can be predicted in the second paryay, of Jupiter. Okay, for the entire Aries and Taurus duration, one can be sure about this. Okay, so let us take the third cycle also. So in the third cycle of Jupiter, from Aries to Gemini, these three signs. Okay, from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, these 90 degrees, Jupiter is going to give the native lot of happiness in the third cycle. Remember, okay. And when Jupiter is in Meena, it is going to give lot of wealth. Okay, and when Jupiter is in Libra during the third cycle, it is going to give distress, problems to the native. Okay, and in the third cycle, when Jupiter is in the end of Gemini, that is this portion, and in the beginning of Cancer. Okay, this is the region when there will be lot of stress, lot of mental distress, problems. There will be loss of wealth, and he'll face a lot of problems because of government. Okay, government issues. So this is a stressful time in the third cycle. Likewise here also in the fag end of Sagittarius as well as in the beginning of Capricorn. This is the region when Jupiter is transiting in the third cycle. It will bring in lot of mental obstacles, and specifically it has been mentioned that the native will have problem because of the spouse of his son. Okay, so son's spouse will will be a source of problem during the third paryay. And there will be other obstacles also during this time. Also, when Jupiter is in the third cycle and the dasa of the user of the native is running for the ascendant, then it is quite good for the native. It will bring in a lot of uninterrupted wealth. Okay, so let me repeat. During the third cycle of Jupiter, when the dasha of the ascendant lord is happening, there will be uninterrupted wealth to the native. So, which is quite good for the native. Okay, so let us understand the fourth cycle of Jupiter. In the fourth cycle of Jupiter, let's suppose the ascendant is Scorpio. Then, when Jupiter is in the ninth house, transiting during the fourth cycle, it will bring in a lot of auspiciousness to the native. Okay, when Jupiter is transiting the 11th house from the ascendant, then it will be increase in property and increase in wealth to the native. There will also be visit to shrines. The native will go in on the Tirth Yatra or pilgrimage. When Jupiter is in the 10th house from ascendant, it will cause destruction of all the enemies. Destruction of enemies. When the Jupiter is in the 12th house, it will cause an acquisition of lot of wealth. When Jupiter is in the first house, then it is not good. It will cause a lot of difficulty. Remember, this result is for the fourth cycle of Jupiter, so one should apply it only on the fourth cycle. When in the second house, it will be good for the financial gains. In the third house, it will cause a lot of happiness to the native. In the fourth house, it will cause lot of wealth, abundant wealth. And in the fifth house, it will cause a lot of wealth and some auspicious ceremonies in the family. Okay, so as we saw in the fourth cycle of Jupiter, Jupiter is practically giving very good results in every house apart from the first one. Okay, so just in the first one, in the first house, transit to the first house brings in a lot of difficulty to the native. Okay, let us understand the fifth cycle of Jupiter. So in the fifth cycle of Jupiter, in the initial part of Aries and in the Taurus. Okay, so basically these two portions in Aries and in Taurus. This transit of Jupiter here brings in a lot of wealth, abundant riches, and it's very fortunate transit actually. You can say it is a very good time for the native. So one can predict a very good time for the native during this time. Okay, so that's all about all the cycles of Jupiter. Hope you like it. Thank you very much.